This is Suleiman now trying to play 4D chess, right? At first, Suleiman was playing defense terribly. You know, he was trying to play defense by shooting out offense, right? Shooting shots, talking shit, all that. But at the end of the day, now he's active. He just got activated in this war. And he's saying, "Oh, no. I could see what's going on. I see the writing on the wall. All right. This is a Japanese horror movie, and a dead little girl is writing all over the wall. And we see it. You are preemptively now putting yourself in situations to keep the WBC looking strong. So you don't want any more people to be like, nah, fuck that, bro. We don't need that shit no more. Hey, just call me the ring champ, bro. Like, he doesn't want these optics. You have to understand that the WBC is only where it's at today because of its history and current propaganda, right? As long as you tell people what you want them to believe, at some point they'll believe it. We keep hearing the WBC is this historic thing, and it is. It has a lot of history, but the Ring Magazine belt was the one created in 1922. It predates the WBC belt by like a couple decades, I think. And then when you look at it, the WBC is the one who's actively contributed to the very problematic landscape that boxing now finds itself in, right? And you see the WBC and Mauricio Suleiman and Oscar De La Hoya and all these old guard guys like, no, Zuffa's bad, Dana's bad. Oh, no, everything else is good. Oh, we're going to fix it. Oh, blah, blah. It's like, no, you're not, right? This is all like politics, right? The right, the left, they don't give a fuck what's going on. They want power. They want to be in control. It's like they know the country's going to get ripped off, right? They know it. So why not be the ones that are ripping it off? And that's the way boxing works today, right? They know that boxing is broken. They know that people are getting ripped off. Fans aren't getting what they paid for. They're broken promises every year. We know this, but these guys are fine with it as long as they're the ones making the money, right? But now Oscar De La Hoya, right? There's a foreclosure and shit going on, and he's losing his fighters, and Verge is pissed, and all these things are going on. Oh, but now it's time to fix boxing. Now it's time for us to really get together and fix boxing. Shut the fuck up. This is all that fake peace shit. You know what I'm saying? This is that fake peace shit. You know what I respect? I respect the people that kept the G on October 6th. That's probably too far for me to say, but I'm just going to be honest. I keep it. The people that kept it 100 on October 6th, and then a year later we're still on that shit, bro, I'll respect you for that. I might not agree with your politics, but I respect you for that. But this shit right here is just nasty. Like, all of it. Y'all want to be the ones in control of this filth? That's what y'all want? Because this ain't even the lies that we were once told before in the political realm. It's like, we're going to drain the swamp. Dana's out here not saying that. He's just doing it, right? He's just like, I'm just going to get out of all of that. And that's not to say that Dana's going to be the least corrupt, or that Dana has the answers, or that Zuffa's the way to go. Not at all. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that there's no reason arguing against this change from Zuffa if the old guard is still the ones that are going to be holding it down.
And Mauricio did try to get in front of it by using like, according to the WBC rules, but he didn't really explain like what rule that Shakur didn't follow. So to me, it does just make it look like, we tried to get a part of this fight in some form or fashion, and they didn't want to let us, because the WBC is historically great, but it's historically great just because it's been a part of the biggest fights over the past like 30 years. And just in some form or fashion. They'll slap, like I said, they'll slap a belt on anything. They're like, bro, look how many commemorative belts they put on fights with their belt not even on the line.
Word. You're absolutely right. And they've created like, fucking galactic international belts, fucking diamond belts, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it's silly,
bro. It's, like, the whole
thing is silly.
They got the Aztec belt. They had the British belt for the Dillian White fight with Tyson.
I forgot about that one too.
They made. I forgot about that. They made like a COVID belt for the Earl and Danny fight, bro. They're slapping the belt everywhere.
I forgot about that one too, bro. Shit, yo, this is such a bad look, Matt. But what do you think as far as as far as the look for WBC, is this something that paints them in a worse light than they were already in? And the reason I'm asking is like we saw Mauricio Suleiman do Ariel Helwani show, right? And that traction wasn't great from it. A lot of people thought he sounded like a little baby talking shit about what he doesn't get. And I agreed with that. You know, he sounded like a
Man, I
corrupt
was meaning
FIFA
to listen to
official.
that.
That was
I
that?
was meaning to listen to that, and I was meaning to listen to that interview too. I completely forgot to listen to it. But
It
yeah, bro, it's
basically he was like complaining about not being allowed in the ring, not getting hotels or
yes, I
tickets
saw
or
that
whatever the
clip.
fuck.
I saw you review that clip about him not being allowed in the ring in the Canelo fight, and where he said, "Well, I'm gonna do it anyway. You're gonna have to, toss me out if you're gonna have a problem about it." And to me, like,
Yeah,
it was an undisputed fight. His belt was a part of that fight. I get it, but like, bro, like, what other sanctioning body is doing that and making such a huge deal about it? It's my thing.
exactly. Exactly. Super Mex in the building. Champ, what's going on? Hey, you lost some weight for sure, for sure. I see that now. I seen it on social media before, but now it's like very clear. Can you hear us? No, you can't hear us yet. All right. So while Mex is working
Yo,
on that,
can
yeah,
y'all
yeah,
hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I got you.
Can you
Can
hear
y'all
us?
hear me? Okay, I
We
gotta
can
hold
hear
on.
you.
I cannot hear y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me figure out what's
No
going on
problem.
my headset.
Check
No
your
problem.
settings.
All right, let me
Yeah,
mute him
put a
up
hat
real
on.
quick. Yeah. So anyway, the thing is, oh here, Justin. Shout out to Justin Owens, the champ. Not home is crazy. He said, "Well, as a casual, wanted to catch fights last weekend, but didn't because I'm not paying $70 for it. Damn, see, look at this shit, bro. This guy Supermax sucks." Yo, shout out to Justin, bro. I love having Justin on the chat because he gives us a window into what the casual fans are thinking. You know what I'm saying? And he did that for us, when we were talking like Zuffa and the heavyweight titles and stuff like that. But ultimately, dude, I don't know. It's like Shakur is in a position where the future is bright, right? Like everything is up for him. But I do want to ask you something though, real quick, Matt.
What's
I
up?
got into a debate with D Style yesterday. He says Shakur's number one pound for pound. He says that
Mm,
Shakur that pound for pound should be based on what happened now, like where we're at actively. So it's like, can you say that Terrence Crawford's still like that guy, right? Or Usyk, since we haven't seen him in however long or whatever, right? Like all that is how he framed it to say Shakur beat the best possible opponent by the farthest margin. So it wasn't just that he beat Tio, it was how he beat Tio. What do you think about that?
yeah. I wouldn't put him in the number one position
Me neither.
because I'm one of those people. Like, granted, he's been a heavyweight for a while. I'm one of those people that sits Usyk at number one, and I had him there until Crawford did beat Canelo. Now, don't get me wrong, I can see Shakur being in that top three conversation for sure, top five, for sure, top five. But top three is a super good debate because I understand what D Style is saying by like it's essentially the "what have you done for me lately" conversation, and that's what I kind of don't
Exactly.
like about it.
Exactly.
Because
That's exactly what it is.
nobody else has gotten in the ring. Inoue did just fight last month, and his dominance stayed. But I guess you could take a couple points away for his performances dipping in the fact that his knockouts have waned, and he's not really picking them up like that anymore. And at the
Great.
same time, you want to talk about another person who's dominating in the sports world and dominating in his division, unifying titles, and I believe in second division. Bam Rodriguez is also putting on stellar pound for pound performances. But don't get me wrong, Shakur Stevenson being a four division champion by beating the man at 140 pounds. And we were all having this conversation that who has he fought? This is his biggest opponent. This is going to be his biggest name of his career in Teofimo Lopez and the way that he did it. And I guess that's where you can put the bonus points by a lot of people saying he 11-1, 12-0 that man. It was a Mayweather-esque performance by Shakur Stevenson to where it looked flawless. It looked impeccable. His defense was impregnable, to quote Mike Tyson.
Love it. Love it. Good job.
And I have never even in the Cambosos loss, right? Even in the unsteady performances from Teofimo, I've never seen somebody beat Teofimo or even perform against Teofimo like that in his entire run at 140 and 135, bro.
Well
And
said, bro.
like that
Well
was a
said.
big time performance. And don't get me wrong, like I said, Usyk is just for me because Usyk was a cruiserweight and he was doubted. Everybody thinking he's so little, but think about it, bro. You stopped Dubois, you beat him twice, you beat Fury twice, you beat AJ twice, you beat Chisora. Who's got a better resume than that at a higher weight class? Like, and don't get me wrong, Shakur's got a long way to go and he can keep going. And this was a hell of a win. But I want to see what he does next. But for sure, top 5. Top 3, let's start the debate.
I like that. I want to ask you though, because we didn't get to talk about it real before we get back to that topic, and then move on to the Floyd. Tio's dad came out, right? Oh, Max is back. Tio's dad came out, right? And he said that basically, I mean, basically just talk shit about his son. That's basically what he did for like half an hour.
Yeah.
He was like talking shit, or not half an hour, but whatever, however long it lasted, right? And you know, a lot of people criticized him because he was talking about how Tio didn't follow this master game plan he had. But the entire fight, all we ever heard from him was, "Hey, throw more punches, bro!" Like over and over, like just
hit
spamming
him.
that comment. Hit him. Do you feel like Tio got like did his dad fuck him? Like did he diss him hard, like too hard? Did he go like, what do you think? Was that fair from his dad? Do you think it's fucked up? Like tell me about it.
I think his father did him a disservice for sure by coming out the next day and saying that he didn't follow this master game plan that he had laid out for his son. And by, he gets this way when he gets emotional and his head's not in the right space, just kind of really throwing his son under the bus. And instead of, he took a lot of credit away from Shakur beating Tio compared to saying like, hey, look, we were trying, he was just a better fighter on this day. My son will come back stronger, this and that, things happen, right? But it's a lot worse, especially like you were just saying, when we're listening in the corner as fans on TV and we're hearing you just say, you gotta hit him, bro. What are you doing? Where's your power? You gotta hit him. You got what instruction is that? And I know that there's people in the corner with Tio Sr. who are probably giving Tio his game plan for sure, because that's what it looked like to me. And it looks like they're putting out a game plan prior to Tio Sr. really saying something or getting something going on. But to come out the next day, and say that and do that to Tio is not a good look, bro. Not a good look post fight.
Not at all. You know why? You know why I say that? You know why I say that too? It's because like you're Teofimo, you just lost, right? And as a man, who wants to win for his family and do better, and you and I had a great conversation on Monday. By the way, if you haven't tapped in, go to Talking Sports Radio. Matt talks literally all sports. My man's tapped in for this Super Bowl this weekend. He's gonna give it props out tomorrow. So make sure you're following him there. But I want to say that we had a conversation, right, about like family and about all this stuff. I can't ever recall seeing a father be so quick to throw his son under the bus to keep his own manhood. See, because both of their manhoods were hurt that night, right? Tio's for getting beat, but also getting dominated. And then Tio's dad for, all the criticism of him not being a good coach, of him not, being at the level that Tio needs anymore, that Tio's surpassed what he can do for him, right? That he's a drunk, that he was drunk at the presser, that he was high on coke, all these things that have been said about him. So when he loses that fight, his subconsciously is like, wait, are people right about me? Right? So instead of, going back to the drawing board, focusing, doing what a man does, right? Rebuilding. He says, nah, I ain't going to rebuild. I'm just going to knock down the house right next to me so mine looks bigger still. And that's what he did to his son. He shit on his son and made it seem like it was his thing, as opposed to the fact that, I don't know, man. Maybe you're only cut out for the juniors. Maybe you're only cut out for the amateurs. Maybe you're only cut out for a certain level. And then once somebody surpasses that, you don't have the ability to turn anybody elite. I don't know. It feels like that could be the reason, but I
Well,
just think
that's
that all
hard.
of this got gross.
I think it's not even like fully like he can't create an elite fighter because he still accomplished the things he did under his father. I think
True.
he just hit. This is as far as his dad can take him. Is what the real point is for me, and it's like if, especially if he is like like they said there, he was allegedly he's drunk in the lobby of the hotel, or he's been having health problems, and we're bringing guys in. I think it's time to just go further than bringing another guy in. Maybe T.O. Senior needs to be the one that takes the step back, and somebody else needs to take the charge, bro. And Teofimo himself, Junior, needs to look and like, is this like Brian Norman Jr. just did it? Like, okay, is this the best point for my career for us to keep going? Because look, Norman Sr. did the same thing. Say that his son wasn't listening, didn't follow the game plan, wasn't doing the instructions we told him. But then you
Very
go
true.
back and look at those instructions. Those instructions were bad too. He was saying he
Very
can't.
true.
He was telling Norman Jr. that he can't hurt you. He's not really hitting you. Just go in there and put your power on him and hit him. And bro, we all saw Brian Norman getting beat up by Devin Haney. So it's essentially is the same situation. To me, like I said, it is just the fact that maybe this is as far as T.O. Senior is gonna take Junior, and maybe it is time for him to maybe branch out to somebody else. Not you don't have to completely fire your dad, but somebody else maybe needs to be the lead. Do it like
Mm.
like Ryan Garcia was doing. Ryan's dad was still in the corner, but he wasn't the lead trainer after that time. He's back now, but it's not bad to maybe go see a Robert Garcia and put him in the head trainer position, or man, who else would be good for Teofimo?
That's what I was gonna say, because I remember you said it, or maybe it was Supermax, but I know one of y'all said Robert Garcia.
Yeah,
I like that one. I
I
like
was
that for
saying
Tio.
I was saying Robert because everybody likes to say Eddie Reynoso, but I don't think that style of single punches and big punches is what's going to work for Tio. Tio's like super athletic and very quick on his counters. Shakur Stevenson was just quicker. So I feel
Mm.
like somebody like Robert, who's got a very good and aggressive style, if he can teach him to
Yes.
punch and move while coming forward, like if you look at Virgil, you look at Bam, you look at man, what's my man's name that's gonna fight Hitchens?
Oh, fuck.
Blanked on it. He fought Ryan Garcia, but yeah, like you look at those guys like that, bro. To use proper aggression when you're coming in the
Duarte.
ring. Yeah, Oscar Duarte. You look at those guys and you're like, that style would boost Teofimo because Tio's at the point where he's learned all he can learn. You just gotta keep him tuned up like a nice car, bro. You gotta
Bro,
keep
Matt,
fine tuning that
you
engine,
do
and
this so much better. You do this so much better than people that get paid to do it.
you got.
I
But
was
that's
gonna
but
say a
that's
name. I'm
true,
not
bro.
gonna
That's
say
what you
it.
got to do
No, you're
for
fucking
Tio.
right. Listen to
Yeah.
me. You are so right. Every single name you've mentioned is on that point. You know, one person that is probably nobody will agree with me, or maybe not. Uh, I think he's so underrated, and he's so underrated. I can't even remember his name. Not Boo Boy, but the other guy that came from the wild card, under the tutelage of
Freddie.
what's his name? Yeah, Freddie. What's the guy's name? He's an Asian, or he's a Filipino. He's real small. Fuck, my
I don't
brother loves this dude.
I don't know his name, but I know
But you
exactly
know
who
what
you're
I'm talking
talking
about,
about.
right?
Yes, I know who you're
Yo, he
talking
kind of
about.
looks like my brother. I swear to God, my brother looks real Filipino. But man, what's his fucking name? It's gonna bother me, but oh well. Yeah, so not Boo Boy. I'm not talking about Boo Boy. I'm talking about the small one that's with Freddie all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was in like the documentary. That guy, I think has a very fine-tuned understanding of the boxer puncher style. And
Yeah.
not only that, I think he understands how much more you can get from it, right? To me, the boxer puncher style has always been the most versatile style, right? Of all the styles, everything falls either farther to the left or the right of that boxer puncher style. And so, Yeah, I think that's a great point. Listen, we're gonna move on to the next topic, and Supermex just in time. Hopefully, he's got the audio set. Mex, can you hear us? Nope. All right, that's all right. So anyway, we're moving on to the next topic. Matt, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is suing Showtime and Espinosa for a whopping $350 million.
A whole lot of money. Whole lot of money.
340. Sorry. 340. He's also seeking punitive damages. Okay. Now, a fighter suing his ex-promoter, ex-manager, ex-network is nothing new. In fact, it almost feels like you're a little late on this, Floyd. Like, where were you? Where have you been? Why haven't you already sued? You know what I mean? But Matt, and I want to get your point on everything, right? The lawsuit, what you think it could be about, like, because it can't be they just didn't pay him what they owed him. There's no way. This has to be some sort of situation where he put money into it, or he had his own like investment where he got points on the back end. Now he's saying that Showtime sent a portion of his money to Al Heyman, or to funds rather, that Al Heyman could control or had control of. But that doesn't explain anything because Al Heyman's not on the lawsuit, Matt. So if Al Heyman misappropriated your funds, which is what Floyd is saying, why are you suing only Showtime and Espinosa? It's weird. It's weird. It's some diabolical shit here that's going on. But
yeah,
before you go, I want to just give you this context. What does this mean for boxing? Because Al Heyman has been one of the reasons boxing survived. I don't want to give him credit in the sense of keeping boxing in like a stable place. That's not what he did. In fact, if anything, he's partly responsible for why boxing's such a shitty position and so overpriced with fighters. But ultimately, De La Hoya couldn't have done it with him by himself. Schaefer, none of these guys, top rank, all of them, they all ended up going to Heyman, right? That's how it ended up working out. And everybody thanked Heyman for years, Matt. As the moment you were done, you weren't gonna, not your mom, not your kids, not God, not Jesus, not Muhammad, nothing. Fucking Al Heyman. That's what it was. What does this shift signify to you? And talk to us about this whole situation. What are your thoughts?
This whole situation was weird to me when I seen it on the headlines this morning, because I was questioning that too, of why isn't, if this is involving Al Heyman, why isn't Al Heyman involved in the lawsuit itself on either side, possibly as a witness at some point? But my brother brought up this point earlier today where it's Floyd Mayweather has a hard case of what money was he supposed to get paid if his guaranteed money got paid. And you're going to have to reveal a lot of the books of the PBC
good call.
from the back end.
Good call.
Because remember, like he pointed this out, like remember Floyd in those two fights, I believe it's the Pacquiao and the McGregor fight that are in question, where he's showing the check at the end of All Access at the end of the fight, at the end of the night. He's like, "Yo, you ever see a check for $100 million? Boom, there it is." Now, this kind of makes it worse for why Steven Espinosa is a little weasel, like he was being called. Because if it's a lot of money that's being misappropriated to where I gave it to Al, or we gave it to the network, or we gave it to somebody, that money's somewhere if Floyd is missing it. And it goes back to the thought of maybe, is Floyd hurting for money at that same time? You have to really question a lot of these things, bro. But to me, Al Heyman can't really get sued because he's just an advisor. He's not Floyd's actual manager. He's not really doing business with him. But
that's a good point.
What could really be done with Al Heyman? But to me, if I'm Showtime or I'm Espinosa, let's see the deal with the PBC, or let's see your deal with whoever you promoting with, and let's see these back end deals. What pay-per-view points or what? Because we all know Floyd was getting pay-per-view. He was getting the concession. He was getting part of the parking. He was getting the fucking lights and the LPNL that was going on for the damn place. Floyd was doing everything.
Yeah, but so what you got to understand is somebody's already gone through the Al Heyman contracts, and he's pretty much got airtight contracts, which is why he can't be included in the lawsuits. So Heyman is pretty much untouchable by either side. That's why he's in the situation where they're just
Damn, that's
looking at
crazy.
Showtime and Floyd. And something I did look up today in preparation for this is the fact that Floyd has a history of Floyd has a history. He sued Top Rank for this very same thing back in '08, which was years after he left Top Rank. He had already been doing the thing with Golden Boy and Oscar. So this isn't anything new for Floyd. This is kind of on par for him. And, you know, it's kind of suspicious how you don't notice hundreds of millions for nearly a decade.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. That's to me the biggest thing of all this, right? It's that, hey, wait a minute. You've been going around the whole world spending fucking millions, bro. If y'all don't realize this, right? Like there are clips of Floyd buying like literally like $5 million like jewelry or like clothes that adds up to like $500,000, right? Those videos are out there. This guy's been spending like he had all those, you know, the 340 million. So I agree. I think all of this is really weird and fishy. I think Mex, you put in perspective very well why Al could be outside of it. But I want to ask you all this, and Mex, you could go first. The landscape right now of boxing is changing, right? Zuffa is coming out on a full press full press offense on the entire landscape of boxing, the full old guard of it. And as me and Matt were talking about before you jumped on, everybody used to think Al was the guy. But now with this shift and it potentially signaling other fighters, younger fighters, wait a minute, maybe Al isn't the guy to go to. Like maybe this isn't the what could this mean for Zuffa boxing? Does this lawsuit signify a potential bigger opening for Zuffa to fill?
I don't think so because
No?
Showtime is long gone. I mean,
Fair.
Floyd
But
is
Al's still
long gone.
very
Showtime is
active in the
long gone.
sport.
Zuffa's going to have some impact. It's like everything in boxing, man. When Oscar was the new hot promoter in town, everybody was going to Oscar. They were putting on all the fights. Then it went to PBC. Then it went to Matchroom and DAZN. Then it went to, now it's with Turkey. You know, this is one of those things where, we get the new toy, the new shiny object, and, just another things to settle about it. Because for Zuffa, there's a lot of turnoffs for the traditional boxing fans. Like, I'll tell you the biggest turnoff I've seen on social media, on Twitter, just in people I've talked to is the people in boxing know how much money and how much it affected the UFC fighters when you weren't allowed to get sponsors on your shorts anymore. It's not a good look, man. You're taking money out of guys' pockets that are the ones laying their life on the line. They're gonna get some names in there, but ultimately, I think Dana, you can't take down something that's just that deep and that far driven. You look at Shakur and the issue with the WBC and Bud, right? But keep in mind, just a week ago, Bud was, calling for the WBC to give Lester Martinez a title shot, the same belt that he said wasn't worth shit. So,
Damn, good call, bro.
there's a deep seated history that you just can't uproot, man. You can't come in here, just like in MMA, man. Dana's got such a head start on people that PFL, WEC, whatever these organizations may be, they can't just come in and uproot the big dog. You know what I mean? Dana is not the big dog in this situation. He's PFL, he's Bellator, he's the new guy on the block trying to change things up, and it'll be hot for a second, but ultimately, I don't know that Zuffa will be around in 10 years from now. I don't think Dana's venture in the boxing game is going to last too long. I think it's cute and fun right now, but there's too many other options, established options. You got Fundora and Thurman going on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? Pacquiao, whoever he goes, that's a pay per view. Those guys are still going to see that business model and know, man, I can make a shit ton of money.
Matt,
And
what?
keep in
Go
mind
ahead,
the
go ahead.
factor, the dark horse in all of this, though, despite the pay per view thing, is Netflix is getting more and more heavily invested into boxing. Um, I think that they're, let's be honest with you, Netflix is the monopoly. They are the name whores. They signed the Dave Chappelle's. You know, they put on the events like that. They
Yep.
gave a guy like half a million or whatever the fuck it was to climb a skyscraper. So, you know, they don't need Dana. They don't need Turkey. They have their own bag. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they can facilitate, but if you got the right star in front of you, Netflix has a bag for you.
And by the way, the reports are that Anthony Joshua and Fury are going to fight under Zuffa boxing and Rider season, and it's going to happen on Netflix. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what the rumors are,
That
but
would be massive if it goes to
right,
Netflix.
like crazy, dude.
Massive.
Especially with the whole Paramount Plus thing. It's just, I don't know. It would be massive though. You're absolutely right. Matt, what do you think of Mex's overall point? First of all, is Zuffa going to be around in 10 years? And can they take advantage of this situation where the top era's representative fighter and his top era representative advisor
Mm-hmm.
now show a significant split? Is that something Zuffa can take advantage of?
And they can, because it seems like they're taking the same game plan like when the UFC was starting to get hot. They're taking all the young names that don't really have a place to go and they really need
Yes,
fights, and they'll take the money. They'll take a low guaranteed contract just for the simple fact that it's money coming in and they're getting in the ring.
exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
how high of a star can they get? I'm unsure, because it's not like a Bud Crawford or Shakur Stevenson is going to walk through that door. Granted, as we saw Saturday, the belt and the rankings that they acknowledge are the ring, and they already have a ring champion in Jai Opatai about to fight next month. But it's like my brother was saying, that the pay-per-view model still exists. The pay-per-view model is, so if you, in boxing, it's different than MMA and the UFC, where if you're a big enough star, you can branch out to any other opportunity that's out there. Like we were just saying, even if it's not pay-per-view, if you're a big enough star and Netflix comes calling with anything, look how much money they're throwing out there. I'm among one of those people, because the NFL has their media rights negotiation happening in the next 5 years, that Netflix is eventually going to get the Super Bowl. And there's no telling what dollar amount they're going to be willing to put on everything. Look at everything that they're buying up right now in movie studios and Warner Brothers.
Mm.
There is too much of a market that exists today where, as a fighter, you don't have to be stuck to anything. And look how many fighters can get their way out of any contract, are willing to sit. So I think it'll be around as long as they want to put money into it. But
Well
there's
said.
still too many avenues, and I don't even think there's nobody that they can absorb to put more power, because that was another thing that they did with the UFC. They absorbed the WEC, they absorbed Pride, and they took their biggest stars and mixed them all together. There's too many independent stars and fighters who have their own promotion to save themselves to be from
Yo,
getting stuck under a Zuffa contract.
I'm so glad you said that. I wanted to challenge Mex's point, because Mex's point was great, but that was the only problem with his theory, was that there is no UFC for boxing, right? So like, even though Mex, you're absolutely right, at this point, Zuffa represents Bellator. Zuffa represents Strikeforce. Zuffa represents all the other smaller, major promotions in MMA that were under the UFC. But the problem is there is no consolidated UFC, right? It's like the other. That's all it is. And Zuffa represents the other, right? So it's like taking apart and dismantling the entire old guard. I never thought it would be possible, but with what they've done with the Ali Act, everything just systematically seems to be working
Well,
in their favor right now.
the thing with the Ali Act though is overblown, Mario. People forget that that's only that Ali Act is only effective in the United States. It's
Mhm.
not relevant in the rest of the world. So,
Very good point. Very good point.
that's a U.S. congressional act. So it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, the thing is Dana, I think, thinks he's gonna find this well, and people got this thirst for boxing. Let's keep it a buck here. The UFC is desperate for stars. Um,
Very true.
they don't have stars right now, and he's learning that, and I think he's just trying to take a swing into boxing because he feels like it'll be a fresh move for him. Dana White doesn't know how to create a star, and he doesn't know how to protect a star. As much as we bitch and complain about sometimes these fights over marinate, and God knows they do. Um, Part of that is the Mayweather effect. Part of that is our fault. But man, there is an allure to having a fighter that you know you want to you build. That UFC does not build fights. They have an opportunity to do that right now. If you can get John Jones and Aspinall in the ring, which is highly unlikely, but that would be the biggest event they ever had by far. They could go back to a pay-per-view model and probably do over 1 million buys just for that fight. They had the opportunity to do John Jones,
Good. Oh,
Brock
that's a
Lesnar.
very good. That's a very good topic. Very good. That's a TikTok. I'm gonna steal that TikTok from you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
bad, bro.
But yeah, like that is the thing about it is sometimes, and now in boxing the problem is a lot of times the fight doesn't deliver, right? Or we get some fuckery in the ending in the decision. But and as much as I hate to admit it, right? Like Spence Crawford in a way did deliver because it set Bud on this trajectory to where he landed a Canelo fight. Then he beat Canelo.
Good
Canelo was
call,
a cherry on top.
dude.
Canelo wasn't
Good
the big deal.
call. Wow. I've listened to me, Mex. If you wouldn't have put it the way you put it and you would have just said that, Spence Crawford ended up working, I would have been like, Mex, are you smoking now? Because are you forgetting like everybody was mad, everybody thinks rough, but you're absolutely right. Maybe it didn't end up great for both of them, and that's what we hope for from those kind of big 1A, 1B fights. But at the end of the day, you're right. It was a movie and it led to that Canelo fight.
And I still think it actually is going to turn out to have worked out well for both because, me and Matt talk about it all the time. Anytime Errol Spence posts him fucking running, the internet's going crazy because the loss aged extremely well because Bud went on to do what he did. So now it's not held against Errol that he lost to the greatest fighter of the generation and quite possibly, one of the top 5 all time. And there's a big percentage of the fan base who won't lie, including myself, do still believe that fight wouldn't have played out that way if that accident never happened. So there's a lot of there's still some upside for Errol Spence. So that's one of the few, we take for granted Triple G and Canelo the first time because of the bad decision, but we didn't wait people have such revisionist history. Mario, you were around back then. I was around back then, and me. I'll go back and roll tape. Nobody was asking for Canelo Triple G until Canelo signed to fight Cotto, which was in the summer of 2015. Cotto was
it was Cotto Triple G. That's what it was. Cotto Triple G. You're right.
Yes,
you're right.
Then Canelo signs to go up to middleweight to take the title, even though it's at a catchweight set by Cotto. Canelo beats Cotto, and that was in November of 2015. They fought in September of 2017. But if you ask the common man, they'll tell you we waited 5 or 6 years for that fight. It's not true.
Ooh. Yeah.
We had within 3 years they fought twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yo.
The thing is, we live in an age where people would rather take the stigma than the facts. A lot of these fights, look, we got Tank and Ryan and Devin. We just had Shakur and Tio. These guys are mixing up at young ages. We're in a good spot in boxing, and boxing doesn't need the help. What we need is for people to just really pay attention to the fights that we're having made. And people also pick and choose when they want to look at history, because when you go back to the Four Kings era, the same exact things were going on. Tommy Hearns and Emmanuel Stewart for years said that Ray Leonard was ducking him and using money as a reason not to fight him. They were calling for that fight in 1978.
Yep.
So
Yo, Mex, you're killing this. I got it marked down 110. That's the clip. I mean, I'm gonna leave out the part where you talk about the wreck and how Spence might have won, but the rest of it's going in there, champ. Very, very great points. I am so glad you touched on all those. And by the way, if anybody wants to challenge Mex on what he just said about the Four Kings, because that does get controversial. I've said it before, and people come at you. Do me a favor. Don't click the link and come at him yet. Go to the Paramount Plus app and watch the Four Kings documentary. Then you can come back. And
or you'll
probably at that point say, sorry, Mex, you were right.
Yeah, and you can also simply just Google some articles, about that time period. Ray Leonard and
read a book.
Hagler took how many years?
Yeah, bro. Sugar Ray Leonard purposely waited out Hagler, and he retired in front of his face, acting like he was going to make the fight, and waited 3 years later to make the fight. And that was the fight everybody wanted.
Yo,
and shout out to the old TV days, Mario. But before he passed, rest in peace, Emmanuel Stewart said those exact same things on an early episode of The Boxing Voice. If you really want to dig into the archives, this is, again, you'll hear it from the horse's mouth, the late great Emmanuel Stewart.
Well said, bro. Well said. Listen, Matt, I want to shift it away real quick back to WC. Just one last topic on that before we go to the Joshua stuff. I want to ask it this way, okay? I think the WBC is moving the goalposts, and I think it's political, right? That said, though, okay, that said, and I very much appreciate Mex being on this, because I feel like Mex tries to be like this as well, where you can feel, but at the same time, you got to think beyond the feelings, right? So I look at it and I say, well, Shakur got stripped. Okay. He didn't pay his fees. I don't have a problem with him not paying his fees, but that's a sign that he's not going to keep the belt. A belt in a weight class that he's no longer competing in. A belt in a weight class that is not 8 or 9 pounds away from the weight class that he'll be in this time next year, 147, if not by this year, by the way, right? So all of that said, Shakur has other 2 titles in the weight class, right? But the WBC could have offered him a shot at the WBC title in that weight class. Your final thoughts on this? Was this political? Is it fair to have a fighter who has other titles in a weight class above hold on to an opportunity that other fighters could be fighting for? Final thoughts on this from your most rational, unbiased perception. Not trying, and by the way, I'm not trying to snow you at all. If you think this is fuckery, you call it out. Fuckery.
I absolutely think this is fuckery, bro, because like we've pointed out before, there's been other champions that have had abilities to go up a weight class and decide if you're going to come back or not. I mean, look, they gave David Benavidez an interim title at 68 and asked him, okay, David, what are you going to do? Do you want to be called as Canelo's mandatory, or are you moving up? And he moved up. And look, Keith Thurman was champion emeritus for like 3 years until he came back and dropped the belt, eventually let Danny get it. So to me, this was obviously a dig, because like I said, Mauricio tried to explain in the post some rules that were not followed, but there's too many examples where the WBC makes exceptions. And if Shakur Stevenson's saying, well, I'm not going to pay your money anyway because we didn't want you to be a part of this fight didn't involve you, it's obviously hurt feelings, bro. And it's just another bad look for the WBC, where they're trying to still save face from the Crawford situation, and it doesn't help that it's somebody that's affiliated with Terrence Crawford.
Damn,
I think Shakur hit it on the head in his tweet, man. You're getting at me because you're mad at Bud. That's really what it comes down to, because Matt brought up a great point earlier. The fact of the matter is, WBC right now is looking terrible. The credibility has always been wishy-washy, but you're talking about this month, I think, Mario Barrios, coming off 2 draws, is somehow still the champion and is defending the title against Ryan Garcia, who's coming off a loss and a no contest where he failed for PEDs. And this is your This is your world title fight in the glamour division of boxing, the welterweight division, and now you want to rain on Shakur's parade because you're mad at his boy Crawford. Point blank. Period. That's what it comes down to. You're upset with Crawford, and then magically, Matt, like Matt said, all of a sudden Lamont Roach is medically cleared to fight.
Mm-hmm. And making his way back down to lightweight,
and he's back at 35. This is just, it's complete fuckery. And I've met Mauricio Suleiman. He's a great person.
Yeah, you've been on with us when we've interviewed him before.
Yeah, and I've met him in person, shared a drink with him, had extensive conversations with him. He's a great guy, but this is hurt feelings. This is pettiness. And it is what it is, man. We have the right to just say, hey, bro, cut the bullshit. When you have Barrios and Ryan Garcia fighting in the other than heavyweight, the most prestigious division for what you want us to still believe is the most prestigious title. Look, man, image is everything, right? There's a quote from Al Snow once that says, "You're not the biggest star in the world because you're not the biggest star in the world because you're saying you are. You're the biggest star in the world because you act like you are." Right now, the Ring magazine is the biggest, most prestigious title in the world because they're acting like that. They're acting like, and they're making.
They've always done it too.
Yeah.
They're
Hey, let's not get another thing confused.
We are the title. We are the belt. We are number one. And
let's not get another thing confused. The biggest fight they're trying to make is that Ryan and Devin Haney rematch, and it's another fight the WBC wants to be a part of. What better way to get in there than to see if Ryan Garcia can beat Mario Barrios?
Exactly, bro. I want to tell y'all, by the way, okay, real quick, I just gotta pause this. Y'all are bringing so much background to this, and it's very impressive how y'all remind me of my brother Ryan. He's able to pull facts from the past without, like, you know what I mean, like he's able to just remember them. I don't know how y'all fucking do that. Maybe it's me smoking, but I didn't smoke when I was younger and I never was able to do that. But let me tell y'all, you need to understand what these guys are saying here, and they're saying kind of the same thing but in different ways, but also like making it full circle, because ultimately what they're saying here is that this is the same sort of thing that we've been getting from these people from day one. Like, they've always used the rules to cater to the fighters that they want to promote. And what Mex is saying right now is essentially that we're in an era now where everything is like being not clocked, but like everything is under scrutiny, right? Everybody's fighting for that top spot, and it's as wide open as it ever was, right? Oscar De La Hoya fucking for closing on like offices and shit like that. Fucking Verge suing him. Ryan's never had, like, this guy is on the verge of fucking bankruptcy. Top Rank still showing fights on their fast channels. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it as a fan, but from a, like, if I was a stockholder in Top Rank, I wouldn't be happy right now that Barao and Zayas was on fucking Tubi and Roku free channels. Again, I appreciate it, but yeah, guys, this is such good stuff. Seriously, I'm so glad that y'all are able to come on and really put this into perspective.
Yeah, look, and like you said, Mario, right now everything's
hey, shout out Bruce Gas, champ.
Everything is under such scrutiny that, like, when Dana comes in, you and Dana are fighting, and you're saying these guys are scumbags and pieces of shit, and this scumbag and piece of shit behavior is happening for all of us to see. What can you what can you do?
How do you defend it? Yeah, exactly. Real quick, I want to make this, I want to get on this real quick before we go to the Wilder stuff. Alex, shout out to Alex in the chat. Appreciate you coming over from talking about radio, and at the end of the day, appreciate you being in the chat. Listen, I want to make it clear right here. He said Floyd Mayweather is not broke. He is still the richest living boxer in the world. TMT all motherfucking day. Okay. Obviously, a Floyd Mayweather fan, I respect it. Not, hating on that aspect of it all. However, I do want to make some very clear points here as far as what you say him being rich. And again, shout out to Bruce. Go follow Bruce Gass in his show. He's awesome. The thing is this. There is a lot of evidence that Floyd's been broke. First of all, if you, like, I'm deep in this streaming shit, right? And I know Mex follows it. I don't know how much Matt follows it, but like, the live streaming and Kick and all that, I keep up with it. I don't like it. I don't fuck with those people, but at the end of the day, it's like, you have to pay attention to the, you know, top
The
spots. Like if you're a
algorithm,
writer,
the
you have to pay
algorithm brings it forward.
exactly, right? Like one of my biggest TikToks is Ryan Garcia on with what's his name? The big roided dude that has that gym in LA and he always has everybody on, and he put on like Steve Will Do It and the Nelk Boys. He's a big jack dude. What's his name? Fuck, I can't believe I forget his name. I used to watch his YouTubes all the time to learn how to lift. He has a gym. He does like, anyway, whatever, fuck it. But Ryan Garcia was on his stream and I clipped it and, you know, it did fucking like 15,000 hits. You know what I mean? Like, like within the first 2 days. So this shit's important to keep track of. But if you keep track of that stuff, then you know that Floyd Mayweather has gone and got himself caught up in some shit in Russia, right? He got him caught himself up with an oligarch who they say he owed several $1 million to, based on where he stayed at some casino or hotel. It was something like that, right? They literally kept him there. That was a story that very few people even talked about. That should have been like an American international incident. They were holding hostage an American because he didn't pay his fucking bill. And that's Floyd Mayweather, the guy
in Dubai too.
Richest boxer in Dubai. I was just about to say that. He got chased out of the streets. First of all, it was a bunch of, you know, anti-Israel protesters, but there was also 2 people that nobody knew about that were chasing him because he was trying to get out of paying his full $20,000 bill. 2 men, and they had to fucking call the authorities, and they almost didn't get Floyd. He literally was on his way to the airport by the time they got him and was able to, you know, and they were going to take him to jail if he didn't finish paying that. Like, so
and let me
go ahead.
back on this though, Mario, because
please do. I'm trying. I want to make sure this is all contextualized
for a guy like Alex, who, you know, is obviously a Mayweather fan. We're not saying Floyd is broke, like Floyd is on the streets fucking begging for money. Yeah, make sure to like, subscribe. We're saying Floyd is broke by Floyd Mayweather standards. Floyd Mayweather has a very, you know, very specific lifestyle that he's accustomed to, and by those standards, you know, when you're not producing money, when you're not having mega fights anymore, and God, you're not even promoting. I mean, what brands do you know of that Floyd is invested in or associated with? He's not really an entrepreneur. He's just a spender. You know, you have Girl Collection out in Vegas, which everybody in Vegas will tell you that's overrated and crap. Shout out to Sapphires and Disco Inferno. But you know, like to maintain that sort of lifestyle that Mayweather has, that's not cheap, man.
Hell no. Hell no.
And your income versus your outgoing rate is tremendously cut in half when you're not actively fighting. He just announced a fight with the K1 guy for June. We've been hearing supposedly there was something with Tyson going to happen. Nothing's been said since. There was the Mayweather Pacquiao rematch.
Max, real quick, you know what I heard from a source? I can't reveal who told me, but somebody with that could have knowledge. Did you know that they were actually trying to fight another guy named Mike Tyson? That they were trying to pull off a fucking stunt where they were gonna say they were fighting Mike Tyson. They were gonna fight another person whose name happened to be Mike Tyson. Now it was also like promotion of the fight. Yeah, absolutely. This was all like a stage, like they were gonna do like a whole like, you know, fucking social media thing, right? Like for the clicks. Yeah, bro. Listen, all I know is that Floyd went and kissed the wall, and that's not me trying to be racist or anything like that. I know that other people use that as a racial epithet or like term or whatever. All I know is it's, you know, how the Jews pray, and so that we know that, and all we know about, you know, fighters and athletes that go and kiss the wall like that, it's because they're in financial trouble. Like nobody's just all of a sudden like, you know who I really want to support? Israel, a black kid from Detroit. You just vibe with Israel now, like, you know what I mean? That's fishy to me, bro. I'm not talking shit. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying it's fishy.
But to just hang the clarity though, because I think when you say he's financially in trouble, Mario, they're thinking this fucking guy is saying Floyd Mayweather has no dollars to his name.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, I'm not.
That is not what we're saying. But by his standards and his way of living, Floyd is in trouble because he won't be able to maintain that lifestyle.
If I make $100,000 a month, that makes me one of the richest people in the country. Okay. But if my house and my mortgage and my cars and my daughter's tuition and my wife's fucking, pills and drunk lifestyle make it that I'm spending close to $500,000 every month, then I'm a broke motherfucker, even though I'm one of the richest motherfuckers in the world, right? And by the way, if you don't understand this, most people that are rich, they're rich on paper. We rarely know what they actually have. And that's one of the things that people are saying, Mex, you didn't say this on the show. Matt said this for you, but I want to give you props because Matt said that you said that one of the reasons that might not have had Heyman on the lawsuit is they don't want to open up the books, right? They don't want to, and that I think could be the biggest problem for Floyd. Floyd's assuming that there was a bunch of hundreds of millions of dollars made, but remember, Showtime stopped showing us the views in an era where everyone expected the pay-per-view numbers to drop like X amount of time after the pay-per-view. This guy's pay-per-views never drop. So what were the numbers? Did Showtime make hundreds of millions, or were they just telling us how big a star Floyd was?
But
the Al Snow comment, like you brought up.
This Heyman contract, especially when a lot of people are digging into some of their Heyman contracts, these are like 360 deals.
Yep.
So, who was paying for these Sprinter vans? Who was paying for Floyd's? Who's paying for the fucking tours? Press tours. You're doing press tours. You're going to different countries. You're doing 8-city tours on private jets. Where do you think that gets paid? That somebody's got to pay for that.
Just for clarification, a 360 deal is a deal for which the total expenses are afforded to your contract and overall pay, right? So like example, like you're saying, like he's flying and he's taking limos to these press conferences and all this stuff, like ultimately that's tax to Floyd. Like
and you're bringing your security, you're bringing in a shit ton of people on your, like,
I didn't even think of that part.
Those things don't pay for themselves.
No, not at all.
And the biggest thing that I think Matt brought it up, but if he didn't, the biggest thing I think is going to hurt Floyd is when you go to the All Access epilogue episodes, when you go to the press tour with Conor McGregor, and first of all, who the fuck has a $180 million check that they didn't cash?
Shout out Coach Rivera in the chat. Appreciate you, champ.
If you look at the press tour, he pulls out the check from the Pacquiao fight that's from 2 years before.
Yeah.
Checks last, 90 days? Like, and shout out to Ness. He brought this up. Is that check, was that just for show? Was that just, hey, we're going to give you this check to flash on the camera for All Access, make it look good? Like, there's a lot of.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think this is about money that he is owed, right? Like we've seen in past where fighters sue because they didn't get the full portion of whatever they were supposed to get, right? I don't think that's what this is. And again, I don't know for sure, but it feels like based on the language, it's about him saying there was money that was coming to me that was appropriated, and now I'm seeing that it was a financial scheme,
and so,
or a financial scam rather.
Like I said, this goes back though in Floyd's history because he sued Top Rank unsuccessfully back in 2008. There's articles on it, but it also brings back and let's talk about Crawford again. Remember, the initial Crawford Spence fight was supposed to be in 2022. Crawford's big gripe was, what is this money being allocated for? Why am I not able to see where X, Y, and Z dollars are going? This is the same thing. So
Crawford said, show me the book.
They don't want to open the books.
They don't want to open the books.
They're doing Al Heyman. Al Heyman is a music guy. Hey, Al Heyman checks off all of my events. Did stuff with Jay-Z and Beyonce.
My advance. Yeah, bro. Not your
deals were very prominent in the music game. That's what Floyd was in. I think we're going to find out that's what Floyd was in.
Yep.
You could be right. I think you very well could be right. And here's the thing. If you're wrong about it being the music, I think you're right about the context, right? So if it's not the music, then it's the boxing. If it's not the boxing, it's Showtime. If it's not Showtime, it's Paramount Plus. If it's not Paramount Plus, it's PBC. If it's not PBC, then it's Al Heyman Advisor. Whatever it was that he thought he was a partner in, maybe he was. And now he's like, yo, I don't want to be a partner in this shit no more. Fucking Zuffa's over here killing the game, bro. I'm done with this shit. I'm cashing out.
That.
And they're like,
or
cashing out? We lost your money, bro. What are you talking about?
Or it's like the same thing that happened with Mike Tyson, and he saw the big dollar amounts and signed everything away. and joined on.
Oh
and that's the
man,
thing
that would
about
be
it
bad.
because
That
50
would be
Cent
so
came
bad
out and
for him.
said
Fuck.
50 came out and said that he had warned Floyd about those deals.
Yeah.
He did. He said, yeah.
So,
And now, to be
and
fair,
50
he
is
did
not
it.
a
He did it
dummy.
in a
50
joking
is
way.
very smart.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. No, but he did it in a trolly ass way. He's
But
like,
there's
I know you
truth.
can't
Oh, yeah,
There's
hate
he could-
truth
he
in
Floyd.
could-
jokes, though, Mario. There's
No,
truth
no,
in
you're
jokes.
absolutely right. Absolutely right.
No, and 50, let's be honest, he's an intelligent person.
Mhm.
If you remember,
I think he's
the
an incredible
TMT was
businessman.
supposed to be 50 and Floyd at first.
Yep.
So
And he went
And
with
they
Al.
didn't, cut, they didn't want to cut
everybody
another
wondered why
major.
50 got cut out of the deal, right? All those years ago, him and Floyd were always together, hand in hand, and then suddenly 50 was out the deal.
Bro,
Why is that?
you could make the argument that 50 is part of the reason 24/7 blew up the way it did. Don't get me wrong, 24/7
100%.
was always good,
Because
and
think about it,
Oscar and
people
Floyd
forget,
have more
there's a
credit
lot to
than
talk
anyone.
about. The original, see, the funny story is, and this is how I know I'm getting old, but I've been investing in this forever. People say Mayweather Promotions, the TMT first fighter, everybody thinks about his Tank, right? The 1st homegrown guy. The first guy from TMT was supposed to be James Kirkland.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
50
what's his name?
Cent's SMS promotion.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
No,
how
you're
he
absolutely
landed
right.
the Canelo fight.
But remember, they also had what was the Mexican's name? Jesse Vargas.
Gamboa.
They also had. I think Gamboa was a little later though, right? Jesse Vargas was first, I think, because I remember him fighting on.
Yeah, they had
Showbox
Jesse, they had
first.
Yuriokis, they had, but Kirkland was going to be their centerpiece guy.
I remember.
Kirkland was knocking shit loose.
Hell
Couldn't
yeah.
stay out of trouble.
Hell
So
yeah. No,
this-
you're absolutely right.
You know, we never got a resolution as to what everybody just said. Oh, him and 50 were beefing, but nobody has ever known why. Does it circle back to Al Heyman? Did somebody get in Floyd's ear?
Mhm.
You know, this is something deep, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go in favor of Floyd because, bro, this is 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I agree.
You just
I
noticed
agree.
his money's not there.
Mex, what's your X handle?
1 second.
Blank.
Yeah. Whenever you can find. Just, just let me know.
While we're on boxing, though, let me also say this because I've been texting Matt all weekend about this. It's been pissing me off. Look, I'm not going to take away from Shakur Stevenson's accomplishments. One of the youngest 4-division champions in history. But the youngest 4-division champion in boxing history is Adrian Broner.
That is correct.
And that just shows you the level of wasted potential that AB had. So I just want to point that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you got to remember when Broner did his accomplishment, he had jumped up past 40 to 47 and then came
he skipped
down
weight
to 40.
class and then came back down.
You're right, dude.
So
you're so right.
And I get it, bro. Broner these days is not like he's
not
kind of a
Broner
taboo
of
topic. But for me, you should promote how good he was because Broner's potential is going to be one of the greatest what ifs in boxing history, I believe, because 25 years old, he's the true youngest 4-division champion in history. And his fall from grace is something that'll be studied one day. So I just want to point that out because that's been bugging me, man. Broner, despite what he is nowadays, does deserve his flowers because the man, it's sad to see what happened because he could have been the greatest of this generation, but we'll never know. My Twitter handle is at Garces_Joseph. That's at GARCES_JOSEPH. Follow me on Twitter, especially if you happen to be looking for basketball or baseball recruits. I'm always reposting highlights and stats of Plainview High School athletes. We've got a great kid, Dominic Fulton, leading the way for the Bulldogs. Great scorer, can hit it from anywhere in the three-point line, can drive the lane, can dunk. So he's a senior. I think 3 years all-district, going for 4. Had a potential to have some all-state numbers. So follow me on Twitter, and then we have a great baseball program coming up. Yeah, guys like Seth Mayberry, Grayson McMillan, Ian Garza. Tons of talent coming out of Plainview. So if you see my Twitter, you know some recruits, know some guys in the college level who can help these kids who bust their butts and have lots of talent. Send them my way and just find some of those clips and highlight the stats.
Hell yeah, champ. You're the champ for that one, for real, for real. Shout out to Alex. He said, Broner best win was DeMarco. He is not a Hall of Famer. Bro, That is a good win. And so many people underlooked that win because of the Linares fight. But, you know, most people don't remember Antonio DeMarco. I mean, that guy, he might not have been a world beater, but he was a tough day at the office every time out. And Broner really handled him well. Guys, we're going to move on to something that's, you know, my favorite pastime. And that is talking shit about Deontay Wilder. Now, if you've been following this show long enough, you know that Deontay Wilder and I are not necessarily friends. In fact, it seems like he hates me a lot. He also put a message on IG on a thing that I commented on. It was weird. I'm not gonna lie. That guy's like weird. But anyway,
he also threatened your life once.
He also threatened me and Ness's life. Yes, that is very true. He did that over text like a retard. And he better hope I never get murdered, or it's in my phone, so the cops will see it. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, the point is, he is in the headlines again for being psychotic. He was interviewed on Talk Sports, in the UK, and he was on with Simon Jordan talking about the Derek Chisora fight. And oh boy, is he off the meds again or on the med? I don't even know. At this point, I don't know. But we're gonna listen to it real quick, and I want y'all's thoughts. Matt, we'll start with you, but let's give it a listen.
I don't give a about that. I'm not furious. I don't give a about it. I wanted to move you on to Tyson Fury.
I don't want to talk about him.
No, you're going to.
We're here about.
No, but you're going to.
We're not going to talk about him
at
all.
But as part
we're not going to talk about him at all. Understand that?
No, fair enough.
All right, then. So let's move on. It's all about Derek Chisora, and that's it.
I understand that. The only
back, baby.
The only
Y'all
reason,
understand that? You better be. April the 4th is going down.
The only reason
at the O2, you better be there.
Fabulous.
You'll be a square.
The only reason I mentioned it is because it's part of the shtick that goes with you. And I missed you first time around when you came in here 3 years ago, when you were in your pomp 4 years ago, doing Bomb Squad and all that sort of stuff. And I've always wanted to have a conversation with you because you've made observations about Fury. I have my own views on Fury, and you've called him a cheat. And it leads me.
Biggest in boxing.
Yeah, but it leads me to a conclusion.
Biggest in boxing. If somebody practicing, taking their stuff out of their gloves in training, what you think they're gonna do in the fight?
Yeah, but
that's all I got to say about that.
I want to put something to you about you, right? And Fury just happens to be the hook for it.
That's all I got to say about him.
You talked about being cheated in that fight. You talked about water being spiked. You talked about your Game of Thrones outfit being too heavy for you.
I didn't say that.
You said it was too heavy for you.
I didn't say that.
Okay, well I might be wrong on that one. You talked about the long.
Y'all took a journalist that said something because y'all, everybody wanted to come in. Oh wow.
Talked about a long count, right? And then you talked about the trainers, Mark Breland not being good enough.
No, I ain't saying he wasn't good enough.
So what I'm asking you in all of this is, it sounds to me, given the character that you are, that's like a little bit flaky. You lost those fights.
We got an interview tomorrow.
And you saying that someone like Fury cheated you in those fights, I think is kind of disappointing to me about you.
Because I know the truth. I have the facts.
Okay.
Understand that. Because when the documentary and everything that started coming out, I'm gonna show everything.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna get all the people that know and all the people that's in the inside. He got people that the inside of him. I don't what? I don't give a about that.
I'm not a Fury.
I don't give a. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. They got to do with him.
Fucking crying, bro. Cope harder. Cope fucking harder. What the fuck, bro? Here's the thing. I didn't see the full thing. I read the article. And they had the clip. And it
this was bad.
I never saw it. I saw the first clip. I saw that first part.
Yeah.
I never saw the rest of it. I saw what he said. I got the comments on quote, bro, that was fucking crazy. Listen to me right now. If Zuffa, Dana White, Turkey, anybody, Netflix affiliated with this allows fucking Wilder to fight, dude, they should be held criminally responsible for what happens. That man is not healthy enough to work at a fucking daycare or a McDonald's, let alone, like, this dude is so fucking psychotic. So fucking easily triggered, bro. Matt, tell me. I'm sorry.
Here's the problem with everything that he said, though, Mario, is if hypothetically, right, let's say that you felt like just like Deontay and you got fucking cheated out of something and somebody did this, but you're not saying these things. But if you're on your social media reposting all these fucking things that fans are saying, and then you come out and re-say those fan theories that they also claim that, he got the bad gloves, that the trainer spiked his water, that His suit was too heavy. The training camp was too long. Bro, if you're reposting these things, doesn't that mean that you agree with what all these people are fucking saying for you
No
at the
shit,
same
bro.
time?
No
So it's
shit.
like, to me,
Okay.
Deontay Wilder was completely broken from this fight with Tyson Fury. And at the same time, him doing the ayahuasca trip, right? That when you do something a psychedelic like that, Mario, it strips the ego from the mind of what you
Well
once
said.
were and completely
Well
changes
said.
you. Now,
It didn't strip that ego.
Deontay Wilder, well, you got to think like his mentality. Look at his mentality from going from the second Fury fight to the third. That his brain, something in his mind wasn't triggered on correctly to where it once was before, as he was as the big bomb squad, the bronze bomber kind of guy. He can't accept the fact that he lost. And that's the worst part about him. The fact that
Now-
it's okay that you lost in the fashion that you did, but he even said it after the third fight. He still didn't want to give Tyson Fury respect. So the fact that this eats him alive, it's a problem. And what makes it worse for Deontay is you've won one fight since Fury. And was Joseph Parker cheating? Was Zhang cheating?
For real.
Prove to me that all these things are untrue. Devin Haney got cheated by Ryan Garcia and came back and beat Brian fucking Norman. Show me what you can do in the ring.
Damn, bro. Fuck, that
Now,
was vicious right there, Matt.
I'm gonna agree with everything you're saying, though, Matt. I totally agree. Here's where I'll defend Wilder a bit. In the beginning of that, he clearly tells this gentleman, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. If I've asked you not to speak about something and I asked you nicely and I said, hey, I'm here to talk about something else, and you press the issue and I snap, that's kind of not on Wilder. Now let me play devil's advocate and help the Wilder fans out here. It's the most life we've seen out of Wilder since
You're not fucking
before
lying.
the second Fury fight.
What a great point. What a
That man
great
has
fucking
been
point. Something
a
I didn't even
walking corpse
consider.
For 6 years now. So that could be a good sign of life. If he can muster up a way to spark Chisora, good on him.
A tough fight though. That's a super
100% tough fight. And that's why I say if he can muster that up and spark Derek Chisora out in England in front of Fury's home,
I'll give him all the credit.
And that's something that can fully, because that's the thing is Wilder never took the time to build his confidence back.
Yes.
Credit to him. That's somewhat ego, somewhat a warrior spirit, but this is the most life I've seen out of Deontay Wilder in a very, very long time.
Well said.
That was the Bronze Bomber. That was the Bronze Bomber's first appearance since February 29th of 2020. Okay, it's 2026. Now, but again, I'm not too harsh on Wilder for this situation because he very kindly and very respectfully said, I don't want to speak about Tyson Fury.
Correct.
And, the guy pressed the issue. So kind of you got to take what comes with that.
And that's how they do it over there in the UK too. They like to really antagonize the people that
they
aren't
love their
from there,
clips.
and they love to press their issues and press all the buttons.
What's the political guy's name, Matt? Pierce Morgan. You
Pierce
ever watch
Morgan.
Pierce? That's
Yeah,
what
Pierce
exactly
Morgan.
how
He likes to do that
he wants
shit a
them
lot.
clips. Oh, he wants them clips, bro. He's
Hey.
thirsty for them clips. Yo, I swear to God, he follows a girl named Clips on OnlyFans and just masturbates to her and pretends it's actual clips. But I want to say this real quick, right? And again, I appreciate Mex always trying his best to be unbiased. So I love that he said what he did about Wilder. Now, I'm going to push back on it again because even though I think he's right, when somebody you're interviewing tells you we're not talking about this topic, as a journalist, if you continue to push, you know what you're fucking doing. You know exactly what you're trying to do, right? And so I'm not going to try to defend the journalist on that angle at all. However, right, I want to bring up Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia went on this rant right before he got his meds even partially right about kids being fucked by Hollywood elites and politicians and all this shit. And he said he had direct knowledge of elite billionaires molesting children. That's what he said, right? So if he were to come on, right, to talk about the Mario Barrios fight here, I would press him on the molesting kids. And if he were to say, hey, whoa, wait, this is a boxing interview. I'm here to talk about Mario Barrios. I would say, but isn't fucking kids a really bad thing? Shouldn't that be an emergency for you to tell us? And the same thing with fighting. If you know this guy is cheating and you're sitting on this evidence to make money off a documentary, aren't you just as big a fucking piece of shit?
But no, if we're being honest though, like that's a good analogy, but it's a bad analogy because
it's the kids thing's way worse.
But I get along the lines of what it's like it's like if Cotto after interviews would get mad because they're like, hey, but you said Margarito's hands were wrapped. Let's talk about that. And he gets pissed off. So I get where you're coming from, but it's like just when Wilder can make you feel like he's gonna do something, it's sick. The man is sick. Denise, move, quit walking around the kitchen, get out of there. The man is sick, and quite frankly, it's just sad. He's down bad right now. He's still delusional. Telly Swift's out here selling porn. It's all bad for Wilder. It's all bad for Wilder right now.
Yo, by the way, let's talk because me and my wife could be up, if you want. We don't mind it, or like we would, be happy to. But I wanted to tell you, I think it's a fair point. It really is. Matt, I'm gonna ask you though. Do you think Wilder should be fighting? Like I'm not asking you to make a super judgment call, right? Because we're not his doctors or his therapists or anything. But you've been a fight fan for a really long time. You've seen fighters down bad. You know what it looks like. You know what they sound like. You know how they move, and you know that at the worst of the worst, they're headed towards a really, really potentially bad finish. Should Wilder still be fighting? Is there a reason for him to be fighting? Now, Mech said it. If he starts as Chisora, that's the rebirth of a new act for him. Absolutely. But is the risk worth the reward for a guy like Wilder? What do you think?
Absolutely. Because for his own self, that's how he makes money, bro. This is his job, to be a fighter in the world. Number two, look at what the name Deontay Wilder did for the resumes of a Zheli Zhang and a Joe Parker. And the best crossroads, and it's not like he's taking a super, he's not going to, he is a short line away from the top fighters that could really take him out. Now, Derek Chisora is a super tough fight, but to me, like I told you, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Mario, when they talked about this fight, this is the perfect fight for both of them. Derek Chisora is at the end of his rope. He's always been a rough and rugged guy, and Deontay Wilder is trying to build himself back up to the top. Is he still a viable commodity? To me, yes, because look at all the traction and interaction they just got from this interview. Everybody, you see this, you think Bomb Squad is back. Now, he has to then take all of this that he's doing and win. That's the main thing he needs to do. He needs to beat Derek Chisora, then maybe go set up a fight with Big Baby Miller or just Andy Ruiz, somebody else that's in that next tier that's in around with him to build up back to those names, because he can still fight and take out these guys on the lower level. But if he jumps back up to if he tries to fight a Caballero, if he tries to go at a Usyk, if he tries to fight Fury or AJ, he's gonna get beat. But to me, I think it's still okay for him to be fighting.
Beat Chisora. I do feel like if Wilder has a good showing in a tough competitive fight and maybe drops a decision or even gets clipped, but he's clipped in the middle of a war, I think that's okay. What you can't have is another Joe Parker, Zhilei Zhang performance. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to look good. Nobody's going to expect Wilder to outbox anybody. And now if he's in there and he hurts Chisora hurts him, they're exchanging, and he gets clipped, I think that's acceptable.
Yes, because that's going to be a rough ass fight. It's going to be rough.
Agreed.
So for me, I need to see Wilder fighting with confidence. Even if he doesn't win, I need to see him fight with some confidence. He needs to channel, because the last time we saw him fight with confidence was when he dropped Fury in the third fight.
Yes,
and that was the last flashes of confidence we've seen in Wilder. So if he can show that against Chisora, I think he's fine. But if he goes in there and is just looking timid, looking frantic again, and looking like he's afraid to be in there, I think it's a wrap. I caught his fight with the guy when he fought in Kansas in the bingo hall. he looked good there, aggressive. Granted, it's against, you know, some fucking guy that has to go clock in at the warehouse after the fight. But, you know, that's what you need. You know, George Foreman, Bummer of the Month Club. That's kind of something you need. So was that enough to give him confidence again? I don't know. That'll be the big question. I think he needed another, you know,
He
cab
needed a
driver
few
type
of those.
fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he did.
He needed a few more fights like that in Alabama, just knocking out dudes you find riding around town, boy. Because even that guy that he fought, it took him a while to get him out of there. It took him a good little while to get him out of there. The right hand was landed, but it wasn't thudding and superly putting damage on this guy. But
no, you're absolutely right.
This is, I agree. If he is in a tough bang out fight with Chisora, gets clipped, and you know, if he looks competitive, mainly, if he looks competitive, I'll accept it and he can keep going on. But just like, you know, Max was saying, if he's back deer in the headlights and he's got the oh shit face as he's getting caught by a jab, then it's time to hang it up, bro. It's over.
Hell yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, I want to thank you all for coming on and talking the boxing talk. I got one last topic. It's wrestling, and I want y'all's thoughts. Okay, everybody's talking shit about the new era that WWE keeps trying to, you know, insist is a thing, right? But we got Joe Hendry some gold out of nowhere on a Tuesday night. Joe Hendry won the NXT title in a ladder match. And Matt, I want to start with you. Do you feel like this is a real new era? And what do you think of Joe Hendry winning the title? Too late or just
no? I don't think it's too late because you just had that influx of talent go up to the main roster. You lost a big name in Obafemi. There's no telling who else is going to go up next on the men's side of the roster, but I think Joe Hendry is the perfect champion to take over right now because I think he's going to be a bridge to the next champion. And there's not a real, in terms of the NXT verse, there's not a good babyface name to take on, to be on as champion and take on a lot of these heels. If you look around at the landscape of NXT, it's a lot of heels out there, bro, that could buy, that people that could buy for a world champion, for the championship in NXT. A lot of heels that are on the top side of the main event scene. Now, Joe Hendry himself, I mean, he's not as hot as he was a couple years ago when he was all over the internet. People were singing his song, and he was down in TNA, kind of crisscrossing across the world and the indies. But I think he's a good choice for NXT. Now, in terms of this new era, I don't think it's a new era. I think it's still the same thing we've been dealing with since Triple H took over creative. It still needs a lot of improvement, but he needs to, especially if Unreal is what it is from what we see in the creative department, he needs to stop second guessing himself and he needs to kick a lot of these people out of the creative room and go with the ideas he originally thinks of. Especially from this second season that I saw, he's got the right ideas. He's just being heavily influenced by the people around him that make him think this is the direction we should go. But in terms of Joe Hendry being the champion, I think that's the right champion. I think a lot of people were saying like a Tony D'Angelo should have been the champion. But to me, he's been like ice cold since he's been written off and was away.
Bad.
But now that he's back, kind of eyeing the title, I don't know. Maybe if you warm him up, build him up, get him in an Ethan Page feud, a Ricky Saints feud, build him back up to that kind of level, then maybe. But we'll see in NXT.
Max, before you go, you weren't on this week to talk about the Roman Reigns CM Punk promo battle. Matt and I were able to do the watch along, and if you haven't gotten a chance to go, make sure you tap in. It's on X, on YouTube. You could get the playback Monday show where we watched the recap and had a really good, interesting post after our show. I actually clipped it, Matt. I'm gonna post it on my main channel just to post it. You know, at the end of the day, I just think it was good radio all around. I think it was funny. I think it was entertaining. And by the way, I've had a couple of guys reach out to me saying that they very much appreciated and liked it. I mean, these were already followers of, you know, of the show, but still. Also, they said that they thought Mex was the funny one. And then they were like, damn, we didn't know Matt was the funnier one. That was just a shot they were taking, you know, because they were like, Matt's always so like not reserved, but like professional is not the word either I'm looking for. I don't know what
Oh
to say,
no,
but like,
bro. Matt's one of the funniest people I know.
yeah. No, and that's what I told him. I'm like, no, dude, Matt is fucking hilarious. It's just he's very straightforward business. Like he's a guy who's like, you know, he's not looking to take shots. He's just
His
funny,
podcast
and I
persona
respect
is
that the
awkward.
most.
I'm more unfiltered.
Yeah. I feel exactly. But Mex, tell us please, what did you think of that fucking amazing promo battle? Do you feel like we're in a new era as WWE keeps insisting? And Joe Hendry, was it too late or too early? What did you think?
So I'll briefly touch on Joe Hendry because I don't follow NXT that well. But I think it's a good call. It's because what else are you gonna do with him? You know, he's got a little steam. You need to rebuild him. You need to get a main roster ready. Now, is Joe Hendry a world champion? I don't know. I don't know how long this works. But I think this is a good way to see, you know, hey, let's see what kind of draw this guy is on NXT level. You know, let's see with him carrying the main NXT belt how it goes. So it's a good call for me. I don't feel like we're in a new era of WWE. You know, Matt brought up the Unreal stuff, and see, this is why I say, you know, Unreal is the perfect name for that because the show is unreal. It purposely, I feel like, is designed to take the blame off of Triple H. And Mario can tell you, I'm a big defender of Triple H, but that show this past season was designed to make everybody around Triple H look like an absolute dumb fuck, so that when bad shit happens, you can say, yeah, it's that fucking booking room, man. Triple H, he's got great ideas. He just needs to quit listening to the people around him. It's done its job. I think it's really done its job. You know, they sacrificed the Road Dogg to look like a complete dumbass,
Ooh.
which by all accounts is not true. Remember, the Road Dogg is responsible for the bloodline.
You're right. They backdoored his ass bad, bro.
They backdoored the shit out of him. But hey, man,
bad.
You know, sometimes, you know, that's how shit goes. So I think that's doing its job. But now that's the what I really want to talk about, man. Roman and CM Punk. I haven't had anything in a very long time just instantly get me excited for WrestleMania like this promo battle this year. I mean, I'm fired up for Mania now. I don't even know the rest of the card. I just know I'm fired up for the build. Now, the match could be absolute dog shit. Punk is old. We get that. And I love CM Punk. I'm a CM Punk fan. I left AEW when he did. But, you know, he's not – it's just not 2012 anymore. You know, let's just call it what it is. But the build to this match is going to be absolutely fucking incredible. The callbacks. You're going to hear a lot of mention of Moxley. You know, CM Punk has made the back half of his career this Twilight. It's ironic. He birthed, you know, story kayfabe wise, birthed the Shield, birthed those three guys, and the twilight of his career is going to be him having a monster feud with each member of the Shield through two different companies. So the callbacks are going to be great. The build is going to be great, and the one thing I want WWE to do is, look, man, obviously Roman's not going to be there every week. You're going to have to give something for CM Punk to do. That's why they sprinkled in the Finn Balor stuff. Cool.
I think you're right.
Let's not make this a triple threat. We don't need Seth involved. We don't need Paul Heyman involved.
At all.
Let these two paint the picture. Let them do the magic.
And decide it. Yes, absolutely. A decision. We need a definitive win. And here's the thing. I don't even think it has to be clean. I would like it to be clean, but it doesn't have to be clean. At the end of the day, I just want a definitive
I don't want nobody else involved in the build. I don't want
I don't either. At all.
Let these two guys, first of all, Roman has come such a long way in his promo skills.
Right, dude. I mean that show
and Roman has progressed so much in his mic skills. So let these guys paint the picture, because this is something where me and Mario constantly disagree, because Mario is a work rate guy. Mario loves the in-ring. I love in-ring too, and I love work rate. But this past Monday is, to me, what professional wrestling is.
Absolutely. Okay? You're not wrong. That
this
well
is a
said.
draw. because if you see that promo battle, if you haven't watched wrestling in 5 years, but you see that, you're like, shit.
Oh, you're horned
Yes.
up, dude.
Yeah.
You're horned up to
That's a
the
match.
tits.
It was-
Hell yeah.
It was our reaction live in real time because a lot of people were complaining that we're getting the same old guys getting into matches with each other, stealing these moments and these matches at WrestleMania. But you get this promo battle with these two, and it instantly turned the crowd to yes, this is
Yeah.
what we want. This is what we need
And that
because
felt fresh.
and it felt it felt fresh and amazing. And then the way I really hope they go about building it, like they start doing promos against each other, like kind of like the old school. They start talking about each other separately, and then they slowly get face to face, and they stand and they just get closer and closer and closer until that boiling point at WrestleMania comes and happens. This has a high chance to be one of the best builds to a main event in a long time.
Agreed. Matt, I want to ask you though, real quick. Mex brought this into the conversation, and I talked to Abe about this, and I want your take, both of y'all. I loved the Finn Balor match. Loved it. It was so fucking good. I hated what they did the next week, right? And it's not that they can't keep him heel, but like, let's draw it out a little. Let's make it interesting, right? Don't just squash his goodwill after like a week, right? That said, though, I absolutely want no part of a CM Punk Finn Balor match at Elimination Chamber. And I'll tell you why. Not because I don't want to see them run it back, not because I don't believe Finn would make a great champion, but because nothing should get in the way of this monumental match. Imagine if we were going to watch Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya in 2007. All right. And we have it signed. If y'all remember, as well as I do, that fight was signed so far in advance. It felt like it was never going to get there. And imagine like sometime in January, right? 4 or 5 months before the fight, they say, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and let Oscar De La Hoya fight 2 pounds before the Mayweather fight. Like, no, that's a boner killer. You're not doing anything to hype it if we know Finn's not winning. And here's the other thing. Let's say Finn does win. Why on earth would you ruin this match? So let's not even insult the fans' intelligence and have that match. Let's just keep both Punk and Roman on TV, but out of meaningful competition. Matt, what do you say to that?
I get it, but it's the fact that they established that Finn Balor is going to get a match, right? Because right before that promo battle started, he addressed Finn Balor. And to me, like, I understand, like, let's not risk anything. Let's not put anything that is really meaningless, because I think I'm one of those people that think Finn Balor is going to get that match in Chicago, because in that card, you have to have Punk. It's Punk in Chicago. You have to have that. Like Piper in Portland. You got to have this guy headline in one of the biggest stages he's ever had. Now, I understand. It all matters of what they're going to do with Finn, because I don't know how they get Punk out of it. I don't think you beat Finn clean again, especially if you're not going to turn him babyface, or if you're not going to make him a conflicted heel where he's just in between floating, maybe getting out of the Judgment Day. But like, I get everybody's point of why do it like this. Just keep them safe and keep them locked in on each other. But it's just a simple fact. You got to have Punk on the card in a match at some point. And they've already established that Finn Balor is going to get a match. And there's no better place than Punk Balor in Chicago, because they just did it in Finn Balor's hometown. So that little mini story is set right there. Okay, now the return is going to be in Chicago. Now I'm going to fight you on my home. The crowd's going to hate you now.
Well,
Did you freeze? Oh, never mind.
You
cut out. You cut out at the very beginning.
A match build. I think there will be a match build for Chicago, but I don't think that Finn will make it to the match with Punk. My gut is telling me they're going to implode the Judgment Day altogether. I believe that Liv Morgan's match for the title is going to be a triple threat match. Raquel's going to be involved. And I believe Dom is somehow or the other going to find his way into crossing Finn Balor. And I think we get Dom and Finn at Mania.
Oof.
That way Finn can still have some heat and something going on for post Mania. Maybe get a fuck finish of Dom, but then Finn gets the blow off on Raw. He's still hot now. He can move back into the title picture. you know, I think that's the direction we're heading. So I think, yes, there will be a match build for Elimination Chamber. I don't think we get the match in the ring.
Yo, I appreciate both of y'all tapped in. I appreciate both of y'all coming on. Listen, we're going to be live in 2 more hours to do the AEW watch along. See if AJ Styles shows up. I'm not banking on it. Not going to hold my breath, but we'll be along watching anyway. Y'all are more than welcome to jump back on. But yo, for real, this chemistry is working really well. 2 people in IG and then on my DMs too saying how awesome it is when both Mex and Matt are on. And so yeah, shout out to you, Kenny. Shout out to you, Coach Rivera. Shout out to you. Where's the other one? Billy Boxing, I think it is. Bully Boxing. There you go.
Bully.
So yeah. Appreciate all of y'all. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate everything. We'll be back in a couple hours. That said, make sure you go to easily one of the most tapped in sports centered places on YouTube. All right. It's called Talking About Radio. Talking About Sports is the show. Machine Gun Matt has a very big week this week. We all do with the Super Bowl coming up. He's going to give you his picks. He's going to give you his parlays. And he's going to tell you what color Gatorade will be thrown on the coach. He's going to tell us all that. And he's going to do that tomorrow. So make sure you're following him. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the Ball Figueroa fight. And then we'll be live on Friday for that as well. Mex, Matt, appreciate both of y'all for tapping in, man.
Yes,
Mex,
sir.
give out your socials real quick, or whichever ones you want.
What was that?
Give out your social, whichever one you want people to follow you.
Oh, yeah. So, no, just follow. The best way to get a hold of me, follow me on IG, Supermex_56. Working on some kind of weekly or daily show. I kind of don't want to box myself in. So it's going to be politics may or may not be in there. That may be something that me and Mario have to go do on Rumble. But I do want to have that situation set up. But as far as YouTube go, we're working on something. I want to take a page out of Conan and Disco's book and be kind of a men's magazine where we just talk about everything: music, movies, current events, what's going on in life, sports, just shooting the shit. I think we really tapped on something. I wasn't on the show for it, but I was obviously facilitating and had a big part of some of the stories the other day. Working on a segment of my own called Black App Tales, where we will just tell some of the most off-the-wall wild stories that
that's the thing is y'all don't even realize how much experience Mex and Matt have in this world.
Absolutely.
Like across the board. It's
some of these
crazy.
stories you may not believe are true, but thankfully for you guys, Supermex was always handy and had no problem recording people doing wild shit. So there's video evidence of most of these things. So we'll have that coming your way. We're working out the kinks on that. But
all I know is the next story I want. All I know is the next story I want is how the guy who drives professionally was
my
so
God,
terrible at it for a minute
Well,
or two.
I'll give you a hint.
We'll chop that one up next time.
Yeah.
I wasn't professional at the time.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fair. Matt, give out the socials real quick.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. Thank you, guys. You mentioned earlier. Everybody tune in to Talking About Radio, hosted by me, Matt Garces. We will be live tomorrow night, 6:37 p.m. Central Time. We're going to talk, obviously, preview and predict the Super Bowl. We're going to preview the NFL Honors Show, who's going to win the MVP, who's going to win in Rookie of the Year, who's going to make to the Hall of Fame, especially with all this controversy with Kraft and Bill Belichick, who's the first ballot and who's not. Not only that, the NBA trade deadline is coming up this week. Should be tomorrow. It should be tomorrow. Shout out to all the sad Mavericks fans that were in my chat telling me that Anthony Davis wasn't going to get moved. He got moved earlier this afternoon, meaning you traded Luka for nothing. So, tune into the show tomorrow. Obviously, like we said, more segments coming on the way. Shout out to everybody in my comment section. Make sure to go follow our friends over at Infighting FX. Join this man, Mario Munguia, live weekly, just like us, but we will be back tomorrow. Like I said, that segment that we're going to have, similar to Supermex, I'm going to have the multiple segments. Like I talk about wrestling with Mario, talk about sports with Justin. We're going to talk about life and get a few of my friends on the show to see who wants to let me pick their brain and tell all the cool stories we've been through in this life. But yes, once again, Talking About Radio, youtube.com, Talking About Radio, twitch.tv, Matt_Garces4. Appreciate you, Mario.
And like you said, real quick, subscribe to this channel, subscribe everywhere. Mario works hard. He's been in the game for years. You know, get this man's follow-up. I've known Mario for probably a decade now. Me and Mario are the best boxing commentary team that never got recorded, unfortunately.
That's right. That's right.
I forgot about that.
Know, follow my man's. He's worked hard. He's good for it. And one last thing, fuck Tony Khan.
Yo, I knew he was gonna go out with something. Yo, until later tonight. Appreciate all y'all. Peace.